Hey everybody, Tony D and little Joan here who won't sit at her own seat with her own camera. So why did I even bother? Uh, the Biden scandal, the Hunter Biden scandal. It's the next installment at the New York Post. So go check it out. Hunter Biden emails, pics reveal wildlife, pain soul. And it's true, I think. I think it's true. I mean, you don't become a drug addict on a whim. You don't say, "Hey, today I'm going to become a drug addict." No, it's because you have pain. You have pain. There's a lot of people with pain, and doesn't matter what walk of life you're from. If the only difference is the Bidens have the money to help him. But drug addicts, I mean, if you watch Intervention, it's very difficult. Drug addicts have to hit rock bottom. So the advantage is rich families have the means to get relatives into rehab. The disadvantage is it's very hard to hit rock bottom when you're rich, right? I mean, if you're from a middle class family, your family has to eventually cut you off pretty quickly if you become a drug addict. They have to, or else you'll rob them blind. You'll bankrupt them. Um, but in the Biden's case, I mean, it's tough. On top of the fact he's a politician, you don't want your drug addicted son to bring everything down. So really, there's only one way this can stop, and that would be for Joe Biden to stop and say, "I got to take care of my son." But it's probably too late for that. Although I like to think it's never too late. You know, that he could say, drop out of the race. Joan, you got stuff on your face. He could drop out of the race and say, you know what, I'm going to help my son, and maybe that the mere act of that would help Hunter, and he would say, wow, because if you look at Kellyanne Conway's daughter, now she's not addicted to drugs, but she's kind of addicted to the internet, in my view, and she wants the attention of her parents. Joan, you got stuff all over your face. What did you put your face in? Um, so she's doing all this stuff to get attention, in my view. So Kellyanne Conway supposedly, quit to concentrate on raising her daughter, which I think is a good thing. Although everybody kind of wishes she'd take away her phone. Now what, Joe? Now you want to kiss me? Okay, yes, you're a good doggy. But getting back to Hunter Biden's, according to the article, emails and texts show not just a politician's troubled son angling for lucrative overseas uh, business deals, they also reveal a concerned father. Joan, that's right, my drink. Um, a concerned father, a fun loving friend, and a man tortured by the deaths that have devastated his family. A text message exchange from 2018, eldest daughter Naomi, named after Biden's late sister, who was killed with their mother Nelia in a 1972 car crash, pleaded with her dad for emergency cash. Can you put $150 in my? Can you put 150 in my account? It was just declined for Lyft to airport. Sorry, 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 sorry. The now 26-year-old Columbia law student asked. Yes, I can, but Naomi, you really have to start to realize that once you're out of school, chances of you living like your father is a billionaire when he's really given all his money away is going to be a bit of a shock, Hunter answered. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that. I know I promise I'll be much better this year. Many explanation points. Promise, Naomi wrote back. Typical college kid. But she's 26, It's a little long in the tooth to be doing this kind of stuff, in my view. But my Naomi didn't return a request for comment. Well, she at least is listening to the Biden lawyers and her family, I suppose. Um, so the computer, apparently, according to this article, had a camera roll of nearly 25,000 images. loaded with sexually explicit selfies and porn, which the Post is not publishing. Well, thanks a lot, Post. But also has snapshots from Biden's childhood and vacations. Yeah, it's all his personal stuff. I guess it says loaded with sexually explicit selfies. Why? I don't get that at all. I mean, I've never taken a sexually explicit selfie of myself. I don't. What would I do with it? I mean, it's just nothing but a time bomb. Hey, don't open that file. I mean, I don't know why you would have that. I guess if you're living a kinky lifestyle. And while some of the more than 11,550 emails involved Biden's former job on the board of the Ukrainian energy company Burisma and his dealings with the now bankrupt CEFC, China Energy Co., most of his messages are innocuous and personal in nature. Is this his wife or his daughter? I don't even know here. So this is one of his pictures. And then there's three more. That's a family thing. That looks pretty old. And family pictures. And then him somewhere trying to be cool. Look how cool I am with no shirt and a jacket. And what's he got in his... Is that his pocket? Or I can't even tell. Oh, that's a mirror. It's like a mirror. A 2019 text exchange shows Biden corresponding with a pal, Michal Ledwith, who was celebrating St. Patrick's Day at the Chelsea Bar in Manhattan. That sounds like fun. Where dat? Biden wrote. Another exchange from 2018 shows Biden inviting a friend to a Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel in L.A., saying he had a cabana suite and is partying like an idiot-ass rock star. Quote, ha, sounds ridiculously fun. I can maybe try to come later, Andrew Boshup wrote. I'll make your night, dude, Biden replied. Biden, who has acknowledged, I'm just skipping around here, Biden, who has acknowledged struggling with drugs and alcohol problems, also poured his heart out in a lengthy email he sent to himself in 2015, about 3 weeks after his brother, former Delaware Attorney General Bo Biden, Delaware Attorney General Bo Biden died of brain cancer. A nearly 800-word missive, which is filled with misspellings, Biden recounts going to church as a child with his father and brother on quote, every Sunday growing up, as well as the Mass he attended the day after Bo's death. I missed his touch. I could feel him there in our midst. I could smell him, but he wasn't there. He was gone, Biden wrote. Biden wrote that while kneeling in the pew for the first time in my life, I prayed not just to my dead mother and my dead sister, but also to my dead brother. And for the first time in my life, I prayed for me, and I asked, please let me be with you. Please let me know you love me. Please let me forget. Please let me come. Wow, he sounds really depressed. Yeah, it's a shame. That's a shame. I feel bad for the guy. See, you don't. I mean, God, the guy's so rich and he's addicted to crack. You don't get addicted to crack because you love yourself. You get addicted to crack, in my view, because you hate yourself. And I think he just wants to die. Probably he feels like he never lived up to his father's expectations, and Bo did. And now Bo's gone, and it's like, he's just the son Joe Biden's stuck with. And and he's an older guy. I mean, too old to be a drug addict, really. I mean, he needs help. He needs help. And Joe Biden's campaign can only bring an S-ton of pressure on him. And pressure is bad for addicts. Because the way they deal with pressure, here you go, Joe, tuck you in, is to take more drugs. That relieves the pressure to a degree. Right, Joan? So I feel bad for the guy. I mean, you know, he's lost his brother, and he's trying to cope with it. Um, you know, who knows? And the thing is too, when you're from a family with real money, um, or on the verge of real money. I mean, the Bidens were kind of, claimed to have been working class. And they kind of were, but they were also lawyers. So they were at least going to be upper middle class, but, they moved into the status of millionaires and making crazy money, albeit, I think, in shady ways. But that just puts more pressure on you. And if you can't handle it, I think this is the result. Now, Joe Biden obviously doesn't care. I mean, to a certain extent, not that he doesn't care about his son, but the pressure doesn't bother him. But to some extent, he's kind of immune to it. The guy was VP, he was a senator for years, and as I said in a previous video, I think Joe Biden was a tall guy. He was a physically intimidating guy back in the day. And in his own way, he would bully people. And politicians do that. They kind of verbally bully you. You have to be able to do that as a politician, or otherwise you'll get verbally bullied by a reporter or a political rival. And there's a limit to how much you can accomplish with that. And Biden has so much attention on him, and he's done it too many times, Joe Biden. So now it's all unraveling. There's no place for him to go. Like, if you're Barack Obama, let's say, you have at least, well, he didn't have a giant record, so that actually helped him. But he could always fall back on his soaring rhetoric. Obama did promise lots of things they didn't really deliver on, but he could at least go back to that and say he tried to do certain things, right? He and he got the ACA passed, and he opened up relations with Cuba again. I mean, there's a few accomplishments he could hide behind. Say, well, look, I did that, or you're just picking on me because of my race or whatever. But Biden doesn't have that. He's been in Congress too long. He's been in powerful positions. VP it's still a power position. It's still a position he could have done stuff. I mean, look at Cheney. Look at all the havoc Dick Cheney caused when he was in power, and he was vice president. So you can't tell me that the vice president is nothing. He's got power if he's willing to use it. Cheney certainly proved that. So, Joe can deal with the power, but he's had it for too long, and that's his great disadvantage. He hasn't really used it for anything. He hasn't, except for enriching his family, and that's not something you can hide behind. So, well, I was trying to enrich my family. Like, you can't say that. So he's got nothing. Really all the accomplishments during the Obama administration, they belong to Obama, not really him. When Pence runs in 2024, Pence can point to, well, I was ahead of the beer virus task force. Like, Trump gave him that specifically, and he was in charge of that, and he would be at the briefings, and he did stuff, and he knows, and he proved what he knew during the debate with Kamala, I think. So, Pence, as a VP, at least did. Get that out of there, Joe. There you go. Get something out of your face. Your filthy, filthy face. Pence at least proved he could, do something. Biden didn't really have anything like that. And one of the few things he was in charge of was our relationship with the Ukraine. And it seems like the only reason he was in charge of that is to get in there and cut a dirty deal, either for himself or his son or both. or to save his son from what he had. Oh God, Joan, you're killing me. You're like a toddler. Um, so you could see why Hunter just, how does he deal with this? How does he deal with a father like this? A father who, what are you supposed to say to your dad if you're the son of Joe Biden? Like, don't do that, Dad. He ain't gonna listen to you. He's a politician. He's a powerful politician. He got that way not by listening to people. He did it his own way. I mean, look, he got caught lying big time before, plagiarizing big time before, and he still survived politically. So that's speaks to the tenacity of Joe Biden. So I understand why Joe Biden probably just, if somebody said to him, "Hey man, you can't lie to people like this," why he would just say, "Yeah, sure you can. Watch me. Get out of my way." Because he's gotten away with it. And then maybe Hunter's just not built for this. I always thought George W. Bush, he wasn't really built for being president. Like I said he should have been a landscaper, right? But he can't. He was a member of the Bush clan. They made him go to college, but I think he would have been happy as a clam being a landscaper and just riding his bike on the weekends and cutting down brush all week. And because the guy, believe it or not, George W. Bush, in terms of being in shape, is the most in shape president we've ever had. So supposedly he has a legendary like pulse rate in terms of biking and whatnot. But to me, he just didn't seem like a guy who was suited for the position of president. But he loves, whenever they showed him with the chainsaw out in his yard or whatever, he seemed to be like so happy. It seemed to be like if he had been born a middle class guy and took over his dad's landscaping or started one of his own landscaping businesses, I think he would have been happy. I think he would have been, and I think he would have been great at it. He would have been W's landscaping. Like, you would have been like, oh yeah, that guy's a good guy. He does a great job. As opposed to the world's worst president. Hunter, to me, seems like a guy, who would have been a better, would have been better off without all the money and fame. Maybe he would have been better off being a poor public defender somewhere, trying to do right. And I think part of it, and a lot of this is on Joe Biden. It's a lot of it because Joe puts out this image of being a blue collar guy, and he's not. He puts out an image of being a Democrat, and Democrats always like, oh, we're saving the poor, we're saving this and that, and they're not. And it's just, when you see how the sausage is made, it's very disheartening. So I'm sure that's a huge factor in this, but and the deaths of his various family members, I mean, it just all adds up. It all adds up. So I do feel bad for Hunter, especially since there seems to be so many incriminating pictures on this laptop and so much material that you could use to blackmail Hunter and Joe Biden. Because why wouldn't he help his son? It's his son. He's going to help him. So the son's dead. Of course he's going to help his son. He's lost children. And I'm sure that impacts him too. It's a shame. If Joe had just retired, maybe they wouldn't have gotten all these deals, but they would have gotten away with, whatever schemes they had at the time. They probably would have gotten away with the Burisma stuff. I think that was back when he was VP, right? Yeah. They would have gotten away with that. I don't think Trump would have gone that far to go after him if he had just quietly retired and kept out of politics. Now he's running for president. I mean, it's relevant. It's relevant. He's running for president. and he's got all these friggin' schemes. It's the same thing Clinton had. She had way too many schemes going on. Way too many. Very corrupt. So it's time to put these corrupt dinosaurs out to pasture. Let them retire. And if they're not, then I'm glad a guy like Trump is going at him head to head. And I think he's going to win. But, you know, one of the casualties in this will probably be Hunter. I mean, if his father loses, you know, or passes on, I mean, how is Hunter going to deal with that? I don't know if he can. It seems like a fragile human. But we're going to get more in the coming days, so keep watching the skies. And by the skies, I mean the New York Post.